Ukraine crisis, stop.
Here it is.
Ukraine crisis snimam.
And I will spread the sheets to the
What crisis, man?
I will read.
What?
I will read. Prepare the video for the.
There's no video because Tom's not going to go off, so basically we'll do it without video.
Okay.
Right?
Do I read it or?
Yeah, okay. Explain it out.
Let's go.
You do have to work on it.
Fellow ministers, we're having an international crisis. International matter, really important. Please all listen. Attention, please. Honorable ministers of the Council. We are sad to announce that the situation in Ukraine is becoming highly unstable and the ongoing siege of the parliament of the autonomous province of Crimea is making the conflict more probable. Unfortunately, the new government took some measures that are hardly opposed and feared by the Russian-speaking population of Ukraine. The crisis in Ukraine started with protests in response to the direction that Yanukovych's government took when they denied to sign the Stabilization Association Agreement and turned to forming closer ties to Russia. Protests became even more severe, and in the end, around 88 people lost their lives after the Ukrainian Special Police Berkut killed civilian protesters that were at the Maidan Square. This also marked the beginning of the direct EU involvement in this issue. A deal was brokered between the opposition and the Ukrainian President Yanukovych. However, the day after the deal was signed, unforeseen events caused the reverse of the situation, and the parliament ousted Yanukovych from this position. One of the biggest turnovers happened when former Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko was released from prison after serving 2 years of sentence for signing harmful trade deals with Russia. The new transitional government was appointed and new elections will take part in May. New government presented infamous measures in order to stabilize the country, the most rigorous measure being the ban of the Russian language from official use in the country. These issues remain to be resolved in the future as the EU showed its disagreement with such measures. One of the said measures aims to resolve killings of protesters, trial of concerned ministers, and abolishment of the special police. Since the end of the clashes in Kiev has stopped, the population of the pro-Russian regions regard the new transitional government non-legitimate. Even more so, the pro-Russian regions held meeting in Kharkiv with the former president of Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych. They issued a statement that Russian-speaking populations should take care for their local community and stop illegitimate government from the exercise of power until legitimate government is back. These statements caused protests throughout Ukraine by the Russian-speaking Ukrainian population, which mostly affected the Crimean Peninsula, where major conflicts between pro- and anti-Russian protesters happened. According to last information, in the Crimean Peninsula, unknown armed groups took control over the parliament, airports, and other buildings of regional administration in the capital of the Ukrainian autonomous province Crimea, soon Prime Minister of Crimea, Anatoly Maksinyov, stated that buildings are occupied from yesterday and that he does not know the identity of those groups. Media reports that armed groups are connected with pro-Russian military separatists fighting transparent crime in Russia. In the meantime, leaders of the opposition in Kiev stated that they plan to form the transitional government, and Arseniy Yatsenyuk was recommended for the prime minister. Yatsenyuk is a pro-Western former foreign minister and economy minister. In the same time, Russia is conducting big military drills with 150,000 soldiers. The location of military drills is close to the Ukrainian-Russian border. Moscow claims that military drills are not connected with recent events in Ukraine, but these acts are coming shortly after the threat directed to Russian population situated in the east of the country. The military base that Sevastopol in Crimea is currently used from Ukraine to Russia throughout 2042. The worsening of the situation was also caused by the difficult financial situation in Ukraine, which will have to be dealt with unpopular measures, as stated by the temporary president Alexander Turchinov. The Ukrainian Central Bank's chief deputy, Alexander Slapa, was appointed as the Minister of Finances and issued a statement that monetary situation in Ukraine is unstable and that Ukraine will need time to consolidate its financial situation. This government in Kiev launched pleas for financial help given the imminent threat of bankruptcy, which were answered by John Kerry, the U.S. Secretary of State Department, who declared that the U.S. might provide up to $1 billion to help Ukraine cope with current events. At the same time, Russian President Vladimir Putin has authorized the Russian government to start high-level talks about providing the financial The new government in Kiev is using measures that are characteristic of dictatorship regimes. Moscow's view in this situation as a threat to their own interests, and most importantly, they are of the opinion that Russia and Ukraine are currently afraid of being victim of repression. The most recent developments in Crimea include the decision of the regional parliament about the referendum on higher autonomy of Crimean Peninsula within Ukraine. Most of the representatives in the said parliament support the motion. To conclude, your fast reaction is important since the conflict is more probable than ever. The Council of the European Union is expected to urgently deliver its conclusions regarding the crisis. European Union Ambassador to Ukraine, Mrs. Morena Mita. This being said, fellow ministers of the Council, you're all aware that we're now dealing with an international crisis and we have to deal with this immediately. You are now Foreign Affairs Minister, and after we have read and acknowledged the situation, you are supposed to reach an opinion on this matter. An opinion that will represent an official statement of the Council of the European Union in order whether you judge this matters or whether you support or any ideas you might have on the situation in Ukraine. You will have about 1.5 hours until 11. You will have around 2 hours to reach an opinion on this matter. And by 10 o'clock, you are allowed to submit any clauses that will be entered in the official opinion of the Council of the EU. So we will now open the floor to any speaker who wishes to give his opinion on this international matter. We will start with the Minister of the Netherlands. You have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, Honourable Ministers. We from the Netherlands believe that the EU Council should express its utmost support towards the legitimately appointed new Ukraine government. We should all keep in mind that this is the pro-European government, which could provide the European Union an opportunity to add itself a new valuable country. Also, we should commit ourselves to put in substantial financial support to the Ukraine, and we should be able to reach some sort of consensus with the newly elected government to fully respect all basic human rights and to ensure that the violence across Ukraine is stopped immediately. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister of the Netherlands. Are there any speakers who wish to express their opinion? Minister of Poland, you've been recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, all Minister. I want to ask the participant to have 1 minute silence for the people who are came in protest.
This is in order. Thank you, fellow Minister of Poland. We are taking 1 minute of silence for all those who were killed in the conflicts in Ukraine. You may be seated. We continue with the speakers on the subject of Ukraine crisis. Does any minister have a statement? Minister of Germany, you've been recognized.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. Germany is very concerned with the recent events in Ukraine, and we want to emphasize that it is of the European Union's greatest importance to solve the Ukrainian crisis. However, we want to also point out that, unlike the Minister of Netherlands said, it is not important only that the government is pro-European or pro-Russian, because it is not only important that the government wants the EU. The thing that is important is that the human rights, the basic human rights, are respected in Ukraine, whether it be pro-Russian or pro-European government. Of course, it is connected, the orientation of the government is connected with that, but we want to ensure the respecting of the basic human rights in Ukraine and the end the corruption, because the main reason of these events was the overly corrupted Ukrainian government, the censorship and not respecting of human rights and not signing the agreement with the EU. We think that the harshest problem is actually not respecting the human rights in Ukraine, and we have to help them in order to solve that problem. And now the role of the EU has to be seen and shown at the European Union scene. Thank you.